So, Dr. McCoy and Mayor Bates and Mayor Coleman have made this so easy for me to close this and to get to Q&A. They really have laid out the argument, and it's exciting to see and hear so many good things going on around the country around eliminating the achievement gap or eliminating the opportunity gap. And I really do feel kind of like the 5th, 6th, or 7th husband of Liz Taylor. When she asked, how do you, yeah. Did you realize that? How are you going to make this interesting for me, right? Because we all know the framework, I just got to find a way to make it interesting. And what I'm going to do is not so much cover the ground that they have covered, because I think they did it very eloquently and very appropriately. But what I'd like to do is really just frame 3 initiatives that we have in Denver very briefly. I don't have any slides, so you'll appreciate that. So you can look at your Blackberries or whatever you do at this point in time. But I want to share 3 ideas, and first I want to frame for you how they came about. And so everything they wrote for me, I'm just going to toss aside and just frame this for you. When I was running for mayor, I was elected I took office in July of 2011 as mayor of the city. I'd already served 2 terms as a city councilman. And my experiences in dealing with education were framed by the fact that my children were, particularly my son, was already entering high school. And I came home one day and my wife and I were both frustrated by the fact that we couldn't find a high school we wanted in our neighborhood that we wanted to put our son in. And I had been conducting these discussion groups with topical experts around certain areas: economic development, transportation, education, children. We combined children and education together. And in the midst of this conversation with about 7 or 8 people in this hotel room, we were sneaking around like it was some clandestine exercise to inquire with people some ideas on what kind of policies we ought to exercise. And I had this great conversation, and there was a guy in the room I'd known for so long. But he never said anything, and he was one of the more outspoken people in education, and it was really unsettling to me that he was in this conversation but not engaging. And about 3/4 of the way of the conversation, he kind of raises his hand. He says, "Councilman, let me ask you a question." He said, "How much did we spend as a people or as a community to build Denver International Airport?" And I said, "About $7 billion. He said, "How much did we spend as a community to build Invesco Field, now called Sports Authority Field, where the Denver Broncos play?" I said, "We spent about $700 million. Now, I was hoping he was impressed with the fact that I knew these answers, but that wasn't why he was asking the question. He said, "How much did we spend to build Coors Field?" This is where the Colorado Rockies play. And I said, "About $250 million. Pepsi Center, where the Nuggets play." And by this time I'm getting agitated. "Why are you asking these questions?" He said, "Why did we make such huge investments as a region, as a city?" I said, "Well, it's the economic well-being, the future of our city. I mean, sports and entertainment bring a lot of money, so it's the economic health of the city." He said, "If we believe those things and those investments help solidify our future, then why don't we make similar investment in our children? In particular, their education." And he stopped the whole conversation. You could have heard a mouse pee on cotton when he asked the question. I know that sounds really weird, but think about that for a minute. But he framed it for us, and from that we began to develop an agenda. One is that we should not be apologetic at all. We should be unapologetic about anything we do to exercise our investment in young people, particularly education in the city and county of Denver. It's the greatest investment. The reality is, it's a lot less expensive to invest in them now than it will be in the back end. We all know that, right? But the reality is this is real money. In the future, we haven't actualized that. So people have a difficult time connecting. And in the agenda, we decided to do 2 things. One, once I was elected, I would appoint a children's cabinet. The children's cabinet would be all the departments in the city of Denver. Everybody had a role to play in uplifting our young people and helping us eliminate the achievement gap. The cabinet was appointed all directors, not their deputies, not their surrogates, but secretaries, the actual executive directors of the department sit in a room and decide how do we make the lives of our young people better. Public Works Director, Zoning Director, Police Chief, the Sheriff, then the Director of the airport, all sit on that cabinet. The second thing we did was to create the Education Compact. We borrowed this model from cities all over the nation. And we brought public and private sector together to have a conversation. They are now the thought board for the entire city. If you want to establish an initiative, coming to the public for a vote, this is the board you come to. They're my advisors. They sit there, they're university presidents, they're CEOs of major corporations, Fortune 500 companies, they're community leaders, they're educators, and they sit in the room and they listen and they help me frame my response to whatever's in front of us. As a result of these initiatives, we have turned over the entire Board of Education, which I don't control. We control the election of those folks we felt were going to be progressive and bold enough on the Board of Education. 3 programs came out of this. First, we understand that as mayor, because I don't control the Board of Education, and I'm not the superintendent or don't control schools, that my greatest impact is what you've heard from these mayors here. My greatest impact is on the other side of that school door. Kids get to school safely. I impact the social soft fabric of those young people, the comprehensive approach, Mayor Coleman, to the young person. Their mental, their social, their physical health and well-being going into those classrooms. And we drew up 3 programs that we initiated just recently. Let me share them with you. One is called the My Denver Card. And the My Denver Card idea came from a young lady, 12-year-old, Maggie Trout. Maggie approached me and said, Mayor, why do I have to pay memberships to go to rec centers? Isn't it better for me to be there than to be on the streets, right? Why do I have to have a card for libraries and a card for rec centers? 2 separate cards, 2 separate registration processes. She said we should have a single card that every kid has, and it gets them to any city service they want. So we thought we would partner with the school board. You do ID cards for the kids, let us program them so that they can use that as their rec center program. Rec center card. Well, the school board or school system was not ready for that. That was just too sophisticated for them. The city people took it over. The city staff took it over. And the My Denver Card became a single card that combines recreation membership and library card, first and foremost. Now, there we had another problem. Kids had to pay for their membership. A barrier. The fact they had to pay, and we had scholarships, but kids had to go get the paper, fill it out, prove they were indigent, and then submit it to get a free membership. Forget that. In November of 2012, I proposed an initiative called Debrucing the City, which kind of lifted artificial tax restrictions in the city of Denver. Long and short story of it is, we had a rebate, we had a cap. We had to rebate a certain amount of money back to the people of Denver. We asked them, let us keep that money. And we're going to do things like hire more officers, repair our streets, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things we did was to make access to our rec centers for all kids 5 to 18 years of age free. 90,000 school-age children were eligible for it. We also took some of that money and began to invest in after-school programming, summer camps. Now, the My Denver Card became real. We thought when we launched it last year in April that it would take at least a year to get 25,000 kids signed up. When I left the city of Denver 2 days ago, some 37,000 kids have signed up for the My Denver Card. They have free access now to our rec center programs. They have free access, of course the library program is also wired to it. We talked about transportation. We're now in negotiation with our regional transportation district to allow those kids to use those cards to get on the bus for free. The city of Denver's, our regional transportation district pays the public school system some $800,000 a year. They don't know if kids are using the bus or not. They just write a check to help kids get on the bus. They sell those cards back to the kids. For a city, it's cheaper for me to make sure those kids are getting on that bus safely and getting home safely than to have kids lollygagging or doing things they're not supposed to be doing, or missing buses, or coming up missing, or something happened to them after school hours. Not only do we make sure, so we're programming the cards to also allow them free access to our cultural facilities, to get on those buses for free when we're done with negotiations with the Regional Transportation District. We're going to use it to hopefully help them register for summer youth employment programs. We want this card to be the most valuable thing these young people have. Register one time, You never have to register again. You wipe it, walk in, we swipe it, we have all the data we need to make sure that you can get a summer job. Your parents never had to fill out another card. So we're working on pulling all this out. So we have 37,000 kids. Our next goal is to have 45,000 kids signed up by this summer. Again, this is where we have them now access our summer youth programming for after school or for summer camps, which leads me to the next step. Someone here talked about making sure our rec program staff are trained. We are training them so that they're viable after school programs for them. But this is the second thing that came out of this. We partner with a global corporation by the name of CH2M Hill. Anybody ever heard of them? They probably built some major infrastructure project or engineered it for you. We partnered with them last summer to start a STEM academy during the summer months. The school system donated the building. CH2M Hill donated the money, as well as the staff. We hired college students to be the mentors for kids inside the program. Some 300 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students from underrepresented, underserved communities signed up for the STEM Academy. They spent a total of 3 weeks for free, full day, in a summer STEM program, learning all about the sciences, learning all about math, and things that I couldn't do. So I was very proud, technology and engineering, all the things that I couldn't do when I was young and at their age. And so we were very proud of the fact that this was a very successful. We had a waiting list for kids trying to get in, so we tested it with one camp. We've already had a second company show up to help us do a second camp. CH2M Hill bought in for a 3-year commitment and ready to do it again. So we're going to serve double the number of kids this summer. But the bottom line is there is a summer loss component to this. That's already been mentioned. We have to keep kids engaged in these subject matters with something that's fun for them. And the camp turned out to be very fun for them. And so we're going to begin to measure how these young people do after we are done with them next summer as well. So let me get to the third one so I don't keep you too much longer. That's what the 4th, 5th, and 6th husbands said, right, Mary? I want to talk about a program called Drop in Denver. So each of these programs we launched since I've been in office. And what Drop in Denver is a partnership with the City of Denver and Colorado Youth for Change. It is an online program that promoted through social media, designed to walk dropouts, kids who walked away from schools, through their options to reconnect, to get back into school. Once connected, we have case managers assigned to that young person. And they can help further explore their options. So they can't get back into traditional school. How do we get you into one of our pathway schools? But the idea is to reconnect our young people and get them back into school. I do not have to cover the exponential cost of a young person who drops out of school compared to one that graduates. In the first year of this program, we helped over 135 of our dropouts get back into school through all traditional and alternative programs. We work to engage we try to get them back into school by October 1st, which is our count date in the City of Denver, of course, which brings additional dollars back to the school to help them. And we wrap them around with all these support services because to the point that's been made, these young people are facing sometimes insurmountable challenges which really forced them or have aided them to walk out the door. We have about 2,000 kids who drop out of school in Denver every year. And so this is 135 is like giving a well a tic-tac. And we recognize that we've got a long way to go to reconnect these kids, but what we're doing is creating a model that others can replicate to help us in building partnerships and getting these young people back into the classroom where they belong. So I just wanted to lay out kind of the framework of what we've done in Denver, give you those 3 programs, my Denver card, the summer STEM academies that we're engaging young people in subject matters that are very important, particularly kids of color, and thirdly, the Drop-In Denver program to help us to really close the opportunity gap that exists in our city. I'm going to stop there and we can go on with questions, Val.